this really core piece of wisdom here is that one funnel is not enough to maximize your growth. To achieve growth fast, you need to have at least one well-optimized evergreen funnel and a series of well-planned consecutive launch funnels, period. And here on this slide, you guys can see on this very simplistic model of a funnel how these two funnels overlay. So the evergreen funnel is really taking our potential buyers from the awareness stage, where he's building this huge group of more aware databases, throughout the whole process of converting them until the retention. And the launch funnel, you see, it starts somewhere in the middle. It's really benefiting from all the audiences that were built during the evergreen funnel. So there's this one thing we want to tell you is that if you have only evergreen or only launch, or you have better build evergreen or better build launch, it doesn't mean that your business is bad. You might be making a lot of money actually, but we're only telling you that by making sure that both of these are well taken care of, you are maximizing your chances to grow your business fast. And this healthy revenue split or customer acquisition split between these two funnels that we've seen in businesses where both of these are taken care of very well is somewhere in the middle between 50-50, 40-60, or 60-40. And now look, here is an example from one of my favorite businesses, which is a subscription business. It's from the yoga VOD platform, which is rolled on a subscription basis. Look here, these two lines, the blue one and the yellow one, are symbolizing the numbers of customers that are being acquired through evergreen funnel and through different consecutive launch funnels. Together, the synergy of these two acquisitions is creating the growth in the total users database, which is symbolized by this green line. What's interesting about the subscription businesses, especially in B2C, I really haven't seen for a long time a subscription business in B2C that was not benefiting from the synergy of evergreen and launch. It's because in these kind of businesses, churn tends to eat out a big chunk of a customer acquisition. By having these two types of campaign, you are really helping your business to get into the growth and to mitigate churn. Now, another interesting thing about evergreen and launch funnels is that you should be looking at a little bit different ROAS goals for each of them. Evergreen funnels, you've seen that they are very much targeted at cold audiences. That's the biggest chunk of this funnel. And in this case, you can accept a lower return on investment from your ad spend. Something between 100% and 300% seems low, but for the evergreen, it can still be enough if you have these series of launch funnels where you are targeting much higher ROAS. So the ROAS for the launch campaigns between 300 and 500, that's really okay goal. You can even go much higher, but for the launch, you can accept a lower one. I've seen so many times this mistake that was done by advertisers where they were turning off evergreen campaigns, especially those in the top of the funnel, because they were producing an ROAS below 300%. Well, it's great to strive for better ROAS, but if you're switching off or downscaling your evergreen funnel, you're really inhibiting yourself from having a big base that you can later target with launch funnels. That's really an important thing which you can see here, again, on the example of this yoga VOD subscription business. Look, the average ROAS, the green line, is in this perfect rank between 200 and 500%. 300% for the digital subscription business is actually a pretty good ROAS. But now look, evergreen ROAS is sometimes even touching 100%. It's the launch ROAS, the yellow line, which is between 500 and 700. And together, the synergy creates an optimal 300% return on ad spend for this particular business. And I think this is like the most important piece of advice we want to show you throughout this presentation, a synergy of these two, making sure you have both of them in your business. I called LIFECYCLE. So the LIFECYCLE evergreen funnel is a simplified version of a funnel that can actually work for any type of business, from online education through e-commerce, digital content, B2B, just for everyone. So I try to put here all the most important advices that you can use to build this kind of funnel in your business. of any kind. Now, in this drawing, you obviously see the simplified drawing of a funnel. TOFU, MOFU, BOFU, all you smart marketers know very well what it is: top, middle, and bottom of a funnel. Awareness, lead gen, sales, and maximization of your lifetime value. Now, we're going to dive deeper into each of the sections of this funnel to show you what are the most important techniques to make these stages work and flow together. Now, let's dive into TOFU, the top of the funnel first. Obviously, from the technical point of view, it's about building awareness. This is where you're targeting cold audiences. You want to make the highest chunk of your significant market aware of your product and brand. Now, on the psychological level, it's about getting an attention and creating interest around your brand. And thank you, Marina, for this really cheesy TOFU gif. Okay, obviously, we all know that tofu in marketing is not tofu in a kitchen, but sometimes we can use that cheesy joke. Anyways, let's go further into what's important on TOFU stage. So the most important aspect of TOFU is to think first about what's really inside the head of your target market. I love this quote from Dan Kennedy, who says, always enter the conversation that is happening in your customers' heads. Now, important thing here is like you want to relate to your customer and you want to engage them with content. You're not selling your product yet. Look at this ad. It's about loving yourself, but it is for the digital yoga platform. A lot of people might be great customers for a digital yoga platform, but they're not really thinking about yoga right now. But they are really into understanding through the pandemic and being closed and locked down in their home that they have some little challenge with loving themselves, because that theme is quite popular recently. Now, you can create an ad that takes people to the blog where you dive deeper into this content, and later you try to introduce the yoga at home concept into their head. Now, what's also important at the TOFU stage is the usage of video. Well, there are two reasons for that. First one, videos can help you to build much bigger audience that can be later remarketed at different stages of an evergreen funnel. More people can watch your video on Instagram or YouTube than go into your blog. That's that obvious, especially when it comes to your advertising efforts. Now, what's interesting about videos at the TOFU stage, this is about storytelling. It's about being emotional. This is an example of a very emotional video presenting a personal story of a doctor who is talking to women who are suffering from symptoms of a menopause. She has a line of products directed to this market, and she's telling her very personal story related to menopause in her life. Now, another way of using videos is in the TOFU is to use video series. It's probably my favorite example today. Last year, we executed this really cool campaign for one of the food delivery apps that was entering our region. And we used a series of videos, which was a story of a couple from the moment when they for the first time met to the moment when they started living together, having some first arguments. And we showed how the food delivery app was playing a role in their journey. Even couriers were playing some role, if I remember well. And Marina's team was distributing this video series for a pretty long time across different channels. And thanks to that, they created a very good audience that was later remarketed with different stages of the evergreen funnel for this food delivery app. Let's go further. Let's go into MOFU, which is middle of the funnel, which on the psychological level is really about building a first positive interaction with your target market. On the more technical level, it's really about lead gen. You want to generate the leads because you don't want to get stuck with paid advertising only. You want to have this chance to follow up with your audience with emails. You're going to see, because at BOFU, that's becoming, I think, the most obvious. Now, what's important at the MOFU stage? Use trials. Let your customers try your product. It's so easy and simple for the digital products, obviously, and be creative in the ads. Like somehow our team loves animals. You're going to see it throughout this presentation. Use trials, but use them also for the physical products. I love that technique. I love the physical product samples distributed through digital campaigns. We use them a few times. It creates wonders on the MOFU stage. If you have content at TOFU, and from content, you introduce people to the sample of your product, it's much smoother transition than from content trying to sell them on your main product, especially when the product is slightly more expensive than the middle for your category. Now, this ad is also very creative, but we don't have time to go into that. Just check it out when you get the slides. Quizzes, another great technique for the MOFU stage. Interaction through quiz, it's where you can show your customers some new insights about themselves or about your brand. Use them at MOFU. And finally, if you don't have any other more creative idea, use some very typical lead magnet. It always works at TOFU. Yeah, that's of course true. You can use ebooks, you can use free reports, checklists, some customer clubs. Just be creative on the ad, like Marina's team here chose to use PUG for the advertisement of an ebook. Now, Marina, maybe a little bit about who you should target the MOFU campaign at when it comes to advertising.
Okay, so actually I would share a tip about not targeting, but about gathering audiences on TOFU and MOFU stage. Here is some insight from our performance team. You see our cute impersonation here on the slide. So what is important? Everything you launch, guys, in your ad should obviously be tracked, and I think it's like clear for everyone, but everything you track should be turned into remarketing lists. So here is a list of audiences you should gather during top of the funnel and middle of the funnel to later convert with your sales campaigns. And these audiences are action-based, which means they visited some page or watched some video or opted in. So you actually better maybe screenshot this slide because I won't go deeper into it, and it could be useful for your later sales campaign.
And finally, the last part of your evergreen campaign is BOFU, bottom of the funnel, which is all about sales and maximization of the lifetime value from the technical standpoint. And it's all about killing different purchase objections from the psychological standpoint. Now, one interesting thing I want to show you about BOFU, we're not showing it before, but now I'm going to go into it. Here, you can see the most common BOFU automated email campaigns. If there's one thing that I believe marketers should know by heart are different email remarketing campaigns that they can use at the BOFU stage. I sometimes ask this question during interviews, and I think it's really good to know it because that's a part of your evergreen funnel that can be really automated. It can be automated at the email stage. And remember, it's about abandoned checkout, browse abandonment, win-back campaigns, cross-sell campaigns. There's a lot of them. Remember about them and use them. But what's really more interesting is that you can sync these email campaigns together with your advertising campaign. And that's where the real synergy comes in and where you're maximizing ROAS on the campaigns. And this is also this part that can be fully automated, much more automated than the TOFU of the evergreen funnel, which also can be automated to some extent, but you have to be creative there and changing a lot. But here you can be really much more automated. So let's look at different different advertising campaigns that merge nicely with the email campaigns. Browse abandonment email, browse abandonment catalog ad, abandoned checkout email, abandoned checkout ad. And now for all the digital products, video. Of course, use videos throughout your entire funnel. People love videos, especially on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's a remarketing ad that uses video. It's about a product, but it's very different than what you would use at TOFU stage. It's a more technical, feature-based video where you are trying to overcome objections towards your product, especially when your product is complicated. Use this video to explain what your product is really about. Testimonials, great at BOFU stage. A lot of people use them at TOFU. Maybe sometimes can work, but really if someone doesn't even know what your product is, they don't care about some random person saying that they love to use it. But at the BOFU stage, testimonial ads can really overcome the objections towards your product. And you can also use them to cross-sell to someone who just bought your product. You can show them a related product through the testimonial, and that's also going to work well. And now finally, this reorder ad, order again ad. This is something very easy, very quick to set up, and sometimes what works wonders because it just simply reminds someone, hey, your product is finishing, buy it again.